Hey everyone, I've got a couple questions about how to do question number 4 on the locating images in converging mirrors. So I'm just looking at this question right here. When you go into this question, I'm going to not do the question, but I'm going to do a similar one. So I'm just going to quickly move this object just so that way I'm not doing the exact same one. Just out of fairness for everybody. Okay. So the first thing I'll do is I'll use rule 1. So I'm going to go parallel to the principal axis until I get to the mirror. Once I get to the mirror, I'm going to reflect the line off the mirror and go through the focus. I'll make those two lines red just so they're nice and easy to see. All right, so there's my first one. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is this time I'm going to aim it at the focus or center of curvature. So it's hard because to start by aiming at the focus or center of curvature, you usually would go through and you'd bounce it off this part of the mirror. But in this situation, what we're going to do is in aiming it towards a focus, you can also aim it away as if you went through the focus. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll just take a second and I'll start my line. I'm going to go off from the focus. Make sure I touch the top of my object right there, starting at the focus. And we know that that's not an accurate diagram. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit just to make it reflect what is actually happening. So now that you know that this line here started at the focus, you can then move it up to the top of our object, which is where the light originated from. And now you can draw your next line, which is parallel to the principal axis. When you do this, you're going to quickly start noticing that your lines do not converge. Because our object is between the focus and the vertex, there's going to be no real image formed. So you're going to have to extend the reflected rays. So that's one of the reflected rays. So let me make these blue so they're a little bit easier to see or differentiate between the two. That means you have to you have to take the reflected ray. So this is our reflected ray. This is our reflected ray, and this is our incident ray, and that's our incident ray down there. So we have to take our reflected rays and extend those lines back into our mirror. So I'm just going to extend this first ray back into the mirror. So I just kind of go off the line that we already have. I hold down the shift key to make sure that it's parallel to the principal axis. I make it a dotted line because it's not a real line. It's what your brain's extending into the mirror. And then I take away the arrowhead. There's my first line. The next thing I do is I'm going to again look here. How do I make that blue? Let it be red. I'm going to then extend my reflected ray again, and not my incident ray, but my reflected ray. And I'm going to extend this into the virtual side of the mirror. All right, so the next thing I do is I extend that line, go from the end of the line, and I try to keep it going parallel like it's been going. There we go. I'm going to take that arrowhead away. I'm going to make it dotted. And then where those two lines intersect, where your brain is extending that information, now you can take your object. I'll just duplicate it, move it over so it's right there at the intersection point, and make it ready to do salt to describe it. So that would be a quick description of how to do number 4 and to do situations when the object is between your focus and the vertex. So just let me undo that because I just don't want to leave that there. So I'm just going to undo it all. Pause your video now if you want to admire the work. All right, so let me just get it back the way it should be when I started the question. And one other thing you can do to make your life a little bit easier, and I will say this, is, and it's allowed to do, and I won't take off marks for doing this, if you shrink the object down so it's a little bit shorter to make it so that way you can extend the lines. As long as you don't have this thing sitting on top of the focus, if that makes it easier for you to go from the focus and get it parallel to the principal axis, I'm fine with you shortening down your object for this question. I will not lose my mind. It's totally fine with me. I hope that helps explain how to do that question, and that kind of makes sense to everybody. So I'm just going to undo what I did, but I'm going to stop the video now as well.